Hello, welcome to the 20th episode of Live with Jill and Frank. My name's Jill Petrie. I'm a psychic medium.
And my name is Frank, and I am a coach. Yeah, we made that short for letting people time to come in. Well,
Yeah, it
we'll
is
do
a little
that.
shorter tonight.
We're gonna leave people a little bit of room to come in there.
Yeah, we'll
Sometimes it
give
takes a
people a
few
few minutes to come
seconds.
in. And tonight we're going to be discussing multiple topics. Uh, we're going to start with Buddhism.
Oh, that's what we're starting with. Well, I guess we have the little Buddha in the corner, so we
Yeah,
might as well. All right, what do we want to? I mean, we have the topics, but we didn't really plan much. So what do we want to know about Buddhism? What do we want to look at? Okay, so you were telling me before that you don't really know much at all about Buddhism, or is that
no, I
okay?
don't.
Um, okay, how about we start with the very basics, and I'm not gonna get into a lot of details because my memory does not allow me to. Everything I read, everything I learn, I remember the big lines, and I can't like. Anyways, you'll see. Um, but the main storyline of the Buddha, who the Buddha was he was a prince, and he lived in a kingdom, and he lived in his in his temple, in his castle, whatever. And he was looking always at the people, and he was seeing so much suffering, and he was like, why can't they all not suffer? Like, why does it have to be that some people suffer, and why can't I stop it, right? Like, I have all the money, and even my money can't seem to stop it. And like, what gives, right? Like, how do I stop this? And so at some point he decided that he was going to go and live with the poor people, and try to see, you know what was all that suffering and how we could stop it. And so he went on to travel. And of course, like, in his travels, there's a gazillion small stories, and there's a bunch of little, amazing little stories, actually. But the main gist is that basically he went out, and through experiencing life and experiencing suffering, and what he basically came to is to say that suffering must exist,
Hmm.
and that the way to conquer suffering is by simply accepting it. And that once you accept suffering, then there isn't any more suffering.
Do we know why suffering must exist? Anyone in the comments?
Feel free to say hi or anything if you
Yeah,
want.
please interact with us in the comments.
You can throw
Um,
rocks, you can do whatever.
yeah, you can
Do
disagree
likes,
or you can
do.
agree. But do we know why suffering exists? I'm sure that I have had the opportunity to say in my past many times, "Why me, God? Why me?" So, like, do we know why? Why does suffering exist? Why do we all
Yes,
suffer?
according to Buddhism, we do. It's because of attachment.
Hmm.
Because if you want, and this is where Buddhism would preach. They would say you have to develop non-attachment, because if you have non-attachment, then you don't suffer over things the same way, right? Because you're not attached to the outcome, you're not attached to what's going to happen, you're just going through life for life's sake,
Hmm.
not for a certain outcome, not for, because you're not attached to those things. You just kind of disattach yourself from the outcomes. Yeah, from, does that make any sense?
Hmm.
Because suffering is like, you can have comfort in suffering. Like, that is a weird, until you've experienced it. I don't know how easily that can be described, but you can suffer and you can sit in suffering. Like I've developed in the last couple of years, I've developed what I call the ability to cry while laughing.
Mhm.
Right? Like I can be hurt and feeling really bad because of a trauma or because something happened to me that day, and at the same time I can feel gratitude, I can feel love, I can feel a whole bunch of positive emotions and feelings. Meanwhile, I'm still having a crappy day,
Mhm.
right? The two can coexist. Uh, but a lot of it comes from non-attachment. It comes from being able to let go of things, right? There's a prayer like in the Catholic faith, I guess. There's the Serenity Prayer, which is an amazing tool for like for that. Because do you know the Serenity Prayer?
Um, I have it somewhere around here actually. Yeah, I know it. I can't recite it by heart, but I know which prayer you're talking about.
It's God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the
Mhm.
wisdom to know the difference.
Right.
Um, Now that concept, speaks of the same thing. It's letting go, knowing sometimes that you don't have the power. It basically comes down to this: if it's something about me, then I probably have the power to change it. If it's something about others, then I don't. Right now, I have to learn acceptance. Like those are all the Buddhist tenets, right? Like there's actually, let me see if I can somehow find it, but here. Uh,
Are you gonna do a share
see
screen?
uh, well, I'm literally just trying to look for. Uh, yeah, I'm
If
not
you're just
finding
now
what I'm
joining
looking
us,
for.
please like and share the live. Interact with us in the comments.
I'm not finding what I'm looking for. That's okay.
Can I play the video then?
The video. Oh, we have a video.
I was dying to play it. That was a great opportunity. I couldn't pass it up.
All right. Jill made this
Okay.
video for if one of us, had a mind freeze or went like, so, so I.
And we have
So
another one
good.
for if we argue, but only Heather can use that one. Those two.
But you guys want to see us argue, don't you? It's more fun. Yeah. So it like that's the main. The other huge part of Buddhism is duality, the law of duality, and the union of dualities. Um, those are huge, and of course, everything result like the main practice of Buddhism is meditation.
Hmm.
Right, mostly like sitting. While there's different types of meditation, different types of yogas, that because meditation is a yoga. It's just these days because we have physical yoga. We we think that yoga only means that, right? You go to a
Hmm.
gym and you do yoga, whatever. Where sitting meditation, like breathing meditation, all those, they're all different yogas, right? One will be prana yoga, hatha yoga. There's different types, right? So there's the yoga of breathing, there's the yoga of postures, there's the yoga of, now I'm gonna forget them, of course, because I'm live.
Don't make me play my video again.
But so yeah, so those are all different yogas, and I don't remember the meaning of yoga in Sanskrit, but it has a meaning, and it's a practice. So all the practices, like, they lead you to that acceptance and to
Hmm.
that non-attachment. Because when you meditate, right, that's what happens. You slowly start detaching from your everyday experience,
Yeah.
and it's that detachment which allows you, uh, in it's funny because the
Healing.
East, what the Buddhists will completely be looking for something else than we are, right?
Hmm.
This is where magic sort of comes in sometimes, because that's the yoga of the West, if you will. Where in the West we wanna enjoy life. We wanna, like, bring as much, like, we're more likely to want to bring God into life than we are to wanna, like, leave life. Where in the Eastern traditions, it's all about, like, reaching that point where you leave. So sometimes it doesn't really, like, Westerners won't sit well with the Buddhist, like, if they went at a temple and learned all the rigid ways of doing, like, a Westerner would be
But
like, what
isn't that the same like with every religion though? Because there's some things about each religion that some people just don't sit well with. So like the Westerners may not be well with Buddhism, but some of them may be well with meditation. Not, like what I'm
yeah,
saying, like
yeah,
taking little parts of
absolutely.
religion.
Yes, it makes a lot of sense, I think. The Well, that's exactly what it is. It's because of the culture, because of the way the people are, because of the I mean, even the temperature in different places, right? Even the just the where, like, the whole, where you're living, the environment,
Hmm.
is actually very much key in how we developed religions. uh,
Right.
because we developed religions, we started with nothing and then went, hey, check this out, this could be it, right? And then we went on to
And then
extreme.
somebody didn't resonate with that religion and decided to take a little bit of that one and open up his own and add some extras. And then that just multiplied and multiplied. So we had so many religions, we didn't know what to do.
Well, it wasn't even that. At first, we had even more, in a sense, religions, right? Because, like, we had small groups of humans, like, all spread out everywhere, and each small group noticed all the elements and everything going on inside them, anger, love, whatever, and
Hmm.
they needed to name that. They needed that to be something. And in order to make it something, they created gods. They created, like, these personifications of these forces that they could perceive, because they had no other means of explaining it, right? All they
Hmm.
knew was the forces outside them, what was going on inside them. And even then, I mean, let's face it, our brain was like twice as small. We weren't the same species back then. And so we kind of created the gods out of a need to explain what was going on around us. But it happens that humans have this power of creating things, and then through giving them meaning and through giving them, like, a flavor, if you will, well, that thing becomes what we will it to be. That's how magic works, and every human has that power. So when that's basically what we did with the gods, we created them, we gave them their power, but they are real because we made them real.
Hmm.
So, in that respect. But Buddhism is very different in that respect because they don't have a god. Buddha was just some dude. He was a prince, not some dude. But nonetheless, he was just a person. Like, he wasn't a,
Just like
you know,
all the rest of us.
exactly. He, just set about to go, hey, I'm going to go figure this out. And he kind of figured it out, but not the way anybody would expect, right? Uh,
So, who else would we say is just a person that people think, or you know where I'm going with this?
you're trying, you're trying to get me. You're trying to, like,
I know you know what I'm about to say.
you're trying to get me to talk about Jesus and my
Hmm.
beliefs on Jesus. All right, well, here we go. Well, I mean, I believe that Jesus was just, like, another prophet, just a
He was.
person that had, uh, that had learned, as far as I'm concerned, like he was a magician, more than likely. He learned how to speak to spirit, how to speak to God. He learned how to.
So in my language, he was a medium.
Uh, well, no, he was more than a medium because he wasn't talk. Well, he did talk to the dead, but he was talking to the dead, but he was also talking to God, per se, to source. Um, that communication can be obtained for any human, and the stupid part is that's what he came to say. He said, I am the son of
Some
God, you
mediums
are the
talk
son
to
of God
God.
and the daughter of God, we are all brothers and sisters. We can all attain this state called Christ. And he tried to teach us how. He said, go in the
Mhm.
forest, pray, dedicate yourself to your God. He gave us a whole
And
recipe.
instead of going in the forest, we built some churches and we developed some religion, and we
And
prayed that way, and then we all got screwed in the end.
well, it's because also the politicians got involved, and then
Yeah.
it became, it's there. There's been powers,
That's
for
why,
as long as human.
if Jesus says, go to the forest and pray, that's why a lot of times people developing mediumship feel it easier to make connections in nature. Like people actually go in nature. Like Frank goes in the forest every day, multiple times a day,
Oh yeah,
to, you know, do
because
whatever.
that's where
Feel
God lives.
closer.
That's
Yeah, to
why.
feel closer to God. That's why you do that. But we go to churches, and I say we, I'm just talking in general, and I don't even know why I'm using that word. Let me just rephrase that. Some people go to churches to feel closer to God, but then throughout their life they feel like they're not. They don't feel that closeness. Even though they try to do good and they try to get close, they're not getting quite where they want to be. Let's put it that way, right?
But that's an ego problem.
Yeah.
That's
But it's
because the
also
ego.
it's also because you're not like you're it's kind of like a like when you go in the forest, it's natural and you're going in nature and connecting, and it's not forced. Like church, you got to be here at this time. When I mean, God's not only there at 5:30; He's there all the time.
He's
You
there
know
all
what
the
I'm
time,
saying?
always and
Like,
everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah, and I mean, where we keep on using the word God, I try to use the word source every once in a while because
whoever
I don't
God
want
is to you,
people.
if you feel like God is God, if you feel like whoever you feel God is to you, that's who we're referring to. The universe, source, the white light, whatever you feel God is to you, even though you don't call him God, that's who we're talking about.
Mostly, there's some that I'm not sure, but we won't go there. It's just like, no, God is not some gray bearded little guy. I mean, in some instances he is, but not in
If you
all
want him to be, he can
instances.
be.
Yes, but that will also have a particular flavor to it, and that's important. Because what you're then the God you're speaking to at that point is the God is um, basically the God of mercy, right? But there's also a warrior God, right? And it's important for us to embrace both, to embrace all the aspects of God. And in the Bible, it's funny because, okay, so we're
And just
in
know when he says
Christianity
both,
here,
he doesn't mean separate gods. He just means both parts of
but
God.
there are very distinct names to God in the Bible, and our translations are like really bad because we use Lord, we use
Yeah, so you can call
you
him
know
whatever you want. It doesn't matter. As long as your mind is focused that you're praying to God or to your savior or to your creator or whatever, doesn't matter what name you call him.
I was going the exact opposite direction, but
Well,
um,
that's my opinion.
each of those names mentioned in the Bible are aspects of God. So when the Bible says Adonai, or when the Bible says Elohim, when they're referring to God, they're not talking about the same thing. They're talking about two distinct things. It's a little bit the same as if you said, I don't know, your husband calls you honey, I call
Hmm.
you Jill, and your doctor calls you Miss Petrie, right? Um, when all of a sudden I start calling you honey and your doctor says, like Jill, and all of a sudden you'll be like, what the hell's going on? Like something, like things are not right, because each of those names speaks of a different Jill.
But it's still the same Jill
Yeah. But
at
one
the
is
end of
Jill
the
in
day.
the bedroom, one is Jill at the doctor's office, one is Jill. You know what I mean? There's business Jill, and so it's the same thing with God. There's merciful God, there's warrior God,
Hmm.
and God has all those aspects. And where religions sometimes get it wrong is because they got intertwined with politics at some point, they they started using God as a tool, and then everything got lost at that point. Like for hundreds of years, things were stolen from other religions to try to make your religion better, and then the Muslims and the Christians went to war. Like, yeah. It wasn't a good time for, you know, spiritual life in a sense. And that's when anybody that practiced any kind of magic, any kind of spiritual, practice of that sort had to kind of skedaddle, and because they would burn them. I suspect it's probably because they were the only people that, would easily be able to show that whatever they were doing was like bullcrap. Like if you look at the god, if you look at the devil, the description we have of the devil with the hoofs and this and that, that's the god Pan from the Romans. It was a very popular god, and the Christians needed to make their god the most popular one, and so they used the other popular god, and they said that's the devil, and so people started going like, oh my god, you worship the devil. And so, in order to fall in line and not get burnt, because back then that's how they dealt with stuff, then people would. So yeah,
Okay, so
you wanted to talk about fears too today. That
yeah,
that could be
yeah.
a fun thing.
Um, let's talk about fear as in different aspects of fear, like fear of like phobia type fears, and then also fear as in, well, I guess everything is really a phobia when it goes with fears.
No, 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 no. A phobia is an extreme. I think a phobia would be
Well,
more
yeah, a
tied
phobia is
to a
like a
trauma.
terrible fear and or could be tied to a trauma.
Yeah, like it's that
Um,
kind of
mhm.
intensity where, if I mean, we all have fears. Like anytime you're gonna do something good, and that's actually, I in coaching I tell people like that's an important thing. If whatever you're doing is not creating fear, try to play a little bigger.
Yeah,
You're going too
because you're not
slow.
growing.
You're not going fast. Like try to go a little more. In coaching is
Because
basically that, right? Is
when you
bringing you to that pushing the line place. And so that's what we look at, right? Is trying to reach that. I call it the 60% line, where you're pushing yourself just enough, but you're not pushing yourself too much that you're going to give up, right? Now that place has fears, of course. And surprisingly enough, most people, I think, not I can't say most people, but a lot of people have a lot more fears of success than they have fears of failure.
hmm
It's kind of weird because they think they have a fear of failure. And the truth is, they have a huge fear. Either they have a fear of success or they have a weird definition of it. And so they're kind of creating a definition that does not allow them to get there because, like, example, rich people, they all ripped off somebody. Like, there's no way to get rich without doing that. And then going, I'd like to get rich. there's not a chance on earth you're going to get rich, because if you got rich, you would now see yourself as one of those people. So you have to get rid of that mentality. You have to go, okay, wait up, it's okay to be rich. Then you'll be able to get rich. But if you think it's a horrible thing that, people who are rich did, you'll never get there. If that's what you desire. But rich comes with...
So fear is something that you have to overcome for growth, to evolve, for your soul to evolve. So by having fear, things that we're fearful of, it is a way for our soul to grow.
Mm-hmm. Well, even in the everyday life, it's such an important thing. People are taught. I think, I don't know if it's by design. I get a feeling it's by design these days. People are taught to stop when they fear, and it's like, no, like you're gonna stop at everything, right? Fear is an indicator of something. Yeah, sure. There's a danger. There's a, you're going somewhere you've never been. You're breaching that limit of comfort. But that's important, because that limit of comfort is where you are, so that can't be where you're going. I mean, you're not going anywhere if you stay there. You got to get in that uncomfortable zone. So you got to get the fears going. And they're okay. As long as it's like suffering, right? We were talking about suffering with the Buddhism. Fears is the same thing.
Yeah, suffering's another way to grow.
Yeah, you got to go, okay, I'm afraid of this. Like, courage is not having fears. People who are courageous might be full of fears. They just go through doing whatever they want to do, regardless of the fears, right? Because you can feel fears and still do the opposite.
Do you think Jesus died on the cross for the human population, or do you think Jesus died on a cross for his soul to evolve?
Oh, that is such a complex one.
But that's a good one, don't lie.
Oh, that's a good one, yes. But oh, crap.
Because think about it.
Oh, I don't have to think about it. No, the funny part is I don't have to think about it. I feel it, but I don't know how to word it.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, but it's because it's both. Okay, but because he was Christ, because he was at that level of his evolution.
But I'm Jill.
He evolved. He becomes what's called the secret masters, which are people that have evolved outside of human life, but are still leading humanity through the few that actually even can be aware that they exist. But because there's so much going on, like there's a million things going on at once here. But what he rejoined Source. But also, the way he died for us is symbolic. Right? But it's true because it's symbolic. And I think he knew where it was going to go.
So you think this is him teaching us to also give in suffering for life, our own personal growth?
Yes, he was trying to show us how to reach Christhood. That is what he came to try to do. And as far as I can tell, possibly failed miserably, sadly. Because when you think about it, we didn't really follow what he said. We went we created a whole religion that got politicized and whatever. But he came and taught us something very simple. Right from the start, I always questioned the fact that why is there only one book that I can go in an entire library of books written to explain that book? There's no other books. Like every other book, I read the book and I make up my own mind.
Mhm.
This book, I can go to a library that explains the book. And it's like, no, wait a minute, just give me the book. I'm good. I can read. I know how. Right? Like I don't need a guy at the front of a room of 100 people that are pressuring me that this guy's right. That you know what I mean? Like that. There's something wrong with that sort of concept. Um, on a small scale, it works. Right? What I think they're trying to emulate in a way is to have, like, think of a shaman in a village, right? Well,
Mhm.
they're trying to have a priest, but the thing is because it was a politicized concept. Well, now they took the priest and he needed to lead like hundreds and masses and that and became self-important. And but at first, the whole point of a priest, the idea was to have a person that was taught how to contact God. They would have been a mystic more than likely, or some sort of person, like, aiming to have a direct connection with God. And then they were supposed to bring the message of God to the masses. Right? That was the whole concept was built around being able to do this. But yeah, it got so politicized that, it failed. But the early disciples, I mean, some of them had figured it out. Some of them didn't even manage to learn what he had taught, right? And he had said so before. He had said how they would all turn out. But and I think that's simply because, like, you and I should you should know, of all people, right? Like,
Mhm.
why did he know that? Well, because he was just a psychic. Like, that's all. He just, like, yeah, he could tell. Except back then, because of numbers, there was a lot less, right? Like, we forget that living back then, right now, you can get, like, easily, if I go on the internet, I can gather 12 psychics within moments, right?
Mhm. Oh yeah, easy,
Okay,
easy.
back then, you met a psychic, you probably didn't meet another one for your entire life,
Mhm.
right? Like, the numbers were very small. We were a very small population. So, like, I
Not just
believe.
that, we didn't have the means to, like, now we can contact through internet, phone, different ways. Back then, we didn't have all that technology.
I believe we may have hundreds of thousands of Jesus, not Jesuses, but of Christs walking the earth right now, because now we're that many more people. It's the same ratio of people. It might be one out of every, I don't know, 2 million,
If you had
whatever it
to,
is.
if you had to pick one, is there one that you can pick out that you know publicly, or do you think they're all undercover?
No, there's probably people that, like, I mean, it's not that huge a thing. There's a lot of magicians that have reached that. There's a
Mhm.
lot of, like, it's not a. Yes, right now there's a lot of people reaching it right now.
Mhm. Because
Like,
the world's awakening right now.
there's a huge amount of people, because yes, right now there's the masses awakening, and then there's, like, every
See,
level is
we're gonna
awakening
move
more and more.
into, well, some of us already are moved. Like, the dimensions are gonna shift or shifting, not going to. It's happening, and there's gonna be a point where, like, the awakened ones can go back and forth to still connect with those who are still in 3D, but there's not many left in 3D. Like, the
I get
world is
confused with the
awakening
3D, 4D,
completely.
5D thing.
It's just, it's a word used to say a level up.
Yeah,
I
no,
guess.
I know, and they're defined. I just don't, like, I don't work with that system, so I don't
Yeah,
under understand it as well sometimes.
but we're
Like,
all, the whole world is awakening. That's the end
yes.
goal. Everyone's gonna be awakened.
Well, I have a weird theory on that one.
We're not gonna live to see it, but it
Oh
is
no, we
gonna
will.
happen.
No, we
You
will.
think? I
Yes,
don't know about.
that's okay. People are
Maybe
people
you
are
plan to
forgetting
live till
something
you're
so
70 or
important.
something.
No, but here's the deal, dude. Really? But here's the deal. Here's the deal. The right now, the speed at which things are moving, we're creating a new generation almost every like 10, 20 years, right? Like, so what we think in terms of like, well, yeah, that'll take forever because it happens over 5 generations. Yeah, that's 50 years. Might be 40 because at some point 5 years is a new generation because we're
Mhm.
moving so fast. Like, it's insane. We invent more stuff in one day than you can look up your entire life.
Mhm.
So, like, we're at an exponential growth that is just beyond anything. And so, because of that, it's going to happen super fast. Like the whole power grab that they're trying to do, the
I
whole
mean,
all that stuff, it's all going to happen like within the next 10 years. Like, the world will change in a way that we could not even fathom it would change. Um and some of it is going to be fun, some of it's not going to be so fun. But I think what it is, though, and here's my theory. I think we've been here before a bunch of times, possibly.
in what
And
aspect?
it's a cycle. It's a cycle. And we could either A, completely destroy everything and start over, and or B, finally realize what we are and accept it and learn to deal with it. And if we
Mhm.
do that, if we manage to take a centered approach to everything, then we may be able to reach the next level. You know what I mean? Then we sort of
What
get
is
out
the
of that
next level,
cycle.
though?
I don't know. Well, I think the next level is, I think if we did this, I think what would happen is, one, we would stop having to learn through suffering because it gets us out of that cycle, right? Because now because see, my theory revolves around the whole polarity, right? The whole law of duality. And so the more centered you can be, the less you need both opposites. They cease to have to exist, in a sense. Like, if I think of a coin, if I have a coin and I like, in order for me to have one side, I need the other side. Like, I can't have the one side
Mhm.
without having the other, right? But at the end, really, where I want to be is sort of on the edge of the coin. I want to be between sides. I want to be not one or the other. I want to be the coin itself, because the sides are not, they're not important, right? Like, right now, what's happening with the left and the right in politics and in all that, right? Like, if you look, the left is emotional, the right is cerebral.
Mhm.
Yes, we've always had emotional and cerebral people, but each and every one of us is also cerebral and emotional. And so, if
Mhm.
we can integrate both our emotional and our cerebral sides, and truly, each of us on a personal level, work at integrating both sides, now we become a whole different species,
Mhm.
because now we become able to do both. Though that split, that polarity, now ceases to exist because we're now one united thing.
Right.
So everything that we need to center everything. We need to find like the center to everything, and that's the answer.
So, um, looking for a reason to play my video.
You're kidding.
Um, okay. So let's talk about grounding yourself as a start to be able to find your center.
Okay. Um. Well, okay, that was like.
Woo!
I'm like, okay, grounding. All right. Um. Well, okay, grounding. Number one, for if you're an empath in any
Let's say,
way,
wait.
shape, or
Let's.
form, it's
Let,
a
can we
crucial
ask
thing.
Heather's input on this one?
Sure,
Since
go on.
Heather,
If
Heather,
she wants.
you mind talking with us?
No, what you got?
What do you ground yourself, or do you know what grounding is? If we say grounding, do you know what that is?
I mean, sorta.
Tell us what you think, because that's why I'm asking you, because I know it's not something you commonly do. Well, you do, but you don't know it, maybe, but you don't
So
actively
what would you call
forcibly
grounding? Like basically, you'd call grounding, um, like maybe mentally preparing yourself for a situation or mentally
daily,
handling a situation.
mentally preparing daily, sometimes multiple
Yeah,
times a day. So how would you do that? Like, what? Give us an idea of what you would do if you were to try to ground yourself.
I'd picture myself in orange and say it's not my color.
You picture yourself in orange and say it's not
Yeah,
your
like I don't want to
color.
go to prison, so I have to act right. No, I don't know.
That works.
Oh my God, I've never heard that.
That's
I'm just
actually
joking,
closer to
Bill.
NLP though. NLP would
I
do
really
that
don't
shit.
do that. I was just joking.
So do you
NLP
know
would
what
do that.
grounding is?
Yeah, I mean, I know what it is. I mean, I don't really know what I do. I think I just do it like subconsciously without even really thinking about it. I just kind of do it, you know?
Okay. So
I can't really tell
grounding
you what I do.
to us would be like a mental envision of
Hmm.
imagining yourself with roots like a tree that would go down into the earth, because we're thankful for the earth, because that's why we have life. But then at the same time, when I ground myself, I also imagine a white light from heaven, or whatever you want to refer to as heaven, coming down to protect me while I'm here on the earth. So it's
Hmm.
basically like thanking God and thanking the earth.
Makes sense.
Well,
But
I mean, it
you can
depends on
also
where.
do it. You can also do different things. Like if you want to feel grounded, you can walk barefoot outside. You can go and actually hug a tree, or just go and be in the forest or the swamp or the woods or whatever you call it in your area.
Hmm.
But just to
Hmm.
be in nature can be grounding, can make you very grounded.
Yeah, it works for a
Hmm.
lot of people. That for a lot of people, it can
And
be
someone that's not,
visualizations.
yeah, someone that's not grounded can actually be sick. Like, and that would be someone, let's imagine grounding as your therapy. And let's
Hmm.
say someone has high anxiety and that's running their mind or whatever. That can cause you to actually be physically sick. Whereas, even though you're going through this situation, if you start to ground yourself and take deep breaths and imagine yourself here on earth and you're okay, and it's calming, and it helps you to deal with anxiety or things that
Hmm.
make us physically ill, Frank.
It brings your mind to a stable, set place. Is basically in psychology. That's what they do. Different stuff though. They don't do visualization, whatever, because not all patients will want to do that. But they'll do something like touch five things and pay attention to their like the way they feel. You know what I mean? Then after that, smell five things. Look at five things in detail. Like you're using your five senses. Like I thought that was a really cool way of. I've never done it myself, but I thought it was a really nice way of grounding. I personally, I don't really have to ground because I don't know. I'm a
Because
Taurus.
you're always in the swamp anyway.
I'm always
Forest.
in the woods. I'm very I'm actually grounding. That's one of the things I bring to coaching is I'm actually able to ground others. So people will come in like all freaked out and like, "Oh my god, I don't know what's going on." And then I'll be like, "Okay, well, wait a minute. Like let's take this 1 second at a time and I'll calm them." And I never knew, but yeah, that's what it is. I ground people. I have
So
that.
something else for people to know, because I've had this happen, in some of my classes or in circle over the years. And some people will come in and they'll be like, "But I live in the city. It's nothing but concrete. Like I can't go and walk in the grass." But it doesn't matter. It's
Yeah,
You can use your imagination to do it. You don't actually have to go walk in the grass. You can if you want. It works both ways. The
carpet
the whole
works.
thing is that it's different for everyone. It's whatever you feel comfortable with to
So
make your
Yeah,
also
life
yeah.
too,
feel
There's hundreds
smoother.
of ways.
let me just ask this, and I could be wrong, but also too, your grounding would be based on the type of person you are. If you're visual, if you
Yes.
imagine, if you feel, it depends how
Right.
you process that. Because, like, if I think of a situation, some people hear it, but some people see it. Some people
Mhm.
smell it. They
Hmm.
remember a scent,
Yeah.
or some
Yeah.
people remember a certain feeling of emotion, happy, sad. So I guess when you ground, it would depend on how you improvise your feelings. That
Right.
makes
Well,
sense. I
Mhm.
know when I listen to positive affirmation, that's kind of what they tell you.
yes, like different modalities will speak more to different types of people because some will be like you say visuals, some will be sensual. They'll need to touch, taste, whatever. Others will be
And you
felt.
don't realize
What do
that
you call it?
everybody visualizes things differently.
Mhm.
Because when I think of something, I actually see it in play. Some people just hear it.
Well,
You
okay.
know,
Here's another question: do you have a dialogue in your head? Like, do you hear words?
probably.
You know what I mean? Like, do you speak to yourself, kind of?
Yeah, yeah,
Some
definitely.
some people do not have that.
hmm Yeah, it's
Like
weird that we all different.
they
Do
just
your
get
ears ring?
images.
Do your
No,
ears
No,
ring? No,
I think
neither
I've
one of
no,
had
y'all.
that like
mine don't.
twice, maybe. I've had that a couple of times, but that's it.
Wow.
Once at Walmart was really weird though. Nobody else heard it, but it just went like, beep and then went away. And I was just like, okay, did you hear this? And everybody was like, no. And I'm like, okay, never mind.
And I think that's
It
what
was
plays
like,
into creativity. Because some people can't imagine a finished product because they don't have
Mhm.
that visualization
mm-hmm,
in their mind.
it's true. Some of it can be developed though. Uh,
hmm
like I wasn't always the best at visualizing. I was always okay. But then through time, because I use a lot of visualization in what I do, I became better and better and better, and
Yeah, the
it
more you do
became
with it,
second
that's why
nature.
we tell people when they start to meditate, we tell them to start with 3 minutes and then move yourself up because you become better and better and better.
Yeah. Well, the most important part too at first is that you're taking time for yourself. So whether you're actually meditating or not, I don't care. You're taking 3 minutes a day for yourself, and that's something you're not used to. So now you're going like, okay, so all right, let's meditate. Hmm. I don't know. Okay, but you're still not going like, oh, what am I doing for supper? What am I doing tomorrow? What's happening?
Mhm.
You're now thinking, oh, how do I meditate? What do I do? Oh, let me pull my book. Let me do my right. And that 3 minute of meditation might actually have taken 15 because you were getting your book, getting your music, getting your thing, whatever. And so I think it's important that we take time where we go, okay, what's happening with me today?
Mhm.
Right. I mean, personally, I think we should be doing that all day, every day, but we got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And that's with 3 minutes of meditation a day. Eventually, you'll be able to close your eyes and meditate at will. But that's eventually.
What do you think for people that have trouble sleeping at night? Is that a good time for them to meditate?
Well, if they have a hard time, it depends. It really, I would have to question, okay, how is it anxiety that's troubling them? Is it, but as a general rule, I would think it would probably help. Yeah. Just quieting the mind. I
Mhm.
mean, that's definitely going to do something. If nothing, the other thing I always tell people, like everybody goes, meditating. Okay, great. Do you know how to relax? No, then you're not going to
Do you
meditate
do you
much.
believe that people, if someone's meditating in their sleep and they fall asleep, like during a guided meditation, do you believe they still get the benefits?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, because whatever amount they did before they fell asleep was still
No,
that,
no,
right? Like,
no, because while they're sleeping, you get better benefits because the the meditation's still playing to your higher self, who's still listening after you fall asleep.
well, yeah, but that happens every time you're asleep.
I know,
So
but
that part is
if
not
you have a
special.
well, it is in a way because you have a meditation on. Like that's why they have actually sleep meditations where you're supposed to fall asleep.
Oh, you mean from the music? Like, I don't meditate with any help of any kind, so I don't. Yeah, that's why I wasn't picking up on that, because I don't use music. I don't use anything. I just. That's
Well,
it.
you have the sound of the forest.
Well, if I'm in the forest, but in the forest I don't meditate. I do ritual, but I don't meditate. Um, but I have my little circle, and I do ritual every once in a while. Though I found out that more people than I thought pass by
Do you
that
have
place.
sacrifices?
Hells no. Well, yes, I do. Actually, I do. Every time I do ritual, I have a sacrifice. I burn incense.
Hey, do you know
You
that
weren't
when you
expecting
burn?
that one. That is a
No,
sacrifice, though.
I do that. I do that. When you burn incense, if you keep the where's my little jar? I have a little jar of incense. Um, ashes. That's how you make black salt.
Really?
Do you make black salt? Or do you use black salt?
I
Have
don't.
you ever?
Nope. No, but I know of it. I know
Hmm.
what it is, but I didn't know that's how you made it, though.
Yeah,
But I
you
do
use
keep.
it
I
with
do keep it.
offerings, like whatever you burn for protection or for an offering or whatever the reason, you know whatever you burning with intention, you
Mhm.
use that for your black salt.
Okay. Oh, I'll have to look into
Learn
that
something
because I
new every
have
day.
some. I have some. But I also have, like in my case, incense is not always like a stick of incense. A lot of times I use the charcoal with the with actual like resins,
Hmm.
because it's a different.
Well, you can actually burn charcoal to put in your black salt. Like
Okay, then.
charcoal can be another ingredient. Like you chop it with the little. What's my little thing? I don't know what I
Little,
did with it. I forgot what it's called. My little chopping thing.
like a
With
little
the little.
bowl and
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
Oh,
mortar and somebody help us. Yes, mortar and
mortar.
something. Yeah, but
See,
it's a
it's
mortar and
still
something. The other
dirty.
piece has a name too, so but I don't remember it.
It's my bat. It's my baseball bat.
Yeah, yeah. So okay, well then I probably have some sitting as we speak, or at least it may have a couple of other garbage items in it. But pestle, thank you,
Pestle.
pestle. Yes,
How do we say that? Pestle.
pestle. I think pestle, mortar and pestle. Yeah.
Mortar and pestle. So,
Thank
do you
you.
have one, Madeline? Tell us. Do you make black salt?
It's like whoa, not too much. No,
No, she just knew the name of it.
but yeah, no. Usually I don't. But yeah, but that's important though in magic, right? When like the burning of incense or
Hmm.
like a sacrifice. Anytime you want to bring something into the physical world, people
Hmm.
always forget that about the law of attraction. They
Do
always
you think a
think you need to.
sacrifice is the same as an intention?
No, no, that's the thing. What I'm saying is you need to sacrifice something physical
Hmm.
in order for the energy to have like a hole, if you will, that it can occupy it. To have a, because again, same thing. Like I always apply the concept of chemistry. Nothing can be gained,
So,
nothing can be lost. No two things can occupy the same space. So if you have a bad habit in your life and you want to create a good habit, you need to both sacrifice the bad habit to the good habit,
hmm
right? And so with everything you do, you got to do this. So anytime you do a spell, anytime you do magic to bring something down to the physical world, you need to burn incense or do some sort of a sacrifice. And this is where, yes, some like some forms of magic, they went as far as having live
what about like
sacrifices.
spell candles?
Yes, that is a form of sacrifice as well, right? So you're
Do you think it
sacrificing
matters
something
what color
physical.
you have?
Yes, enormously. Well, it depends. It depends on the system you're using. For me, it'll matter enormously because I use the Kabbalah. I use the Tree of Life. So if I burn
Okay.
a red candle, then what I'm trying to do is bring the forces of Mars. courage. I'm
Okay.
trying to bring the fiery side of things, right? I'm
Okay.
trying to
So
get the
is this the same
combative
type
side.
of candle that you burn? Like the same?
I have I have different ones. Like I got a place where I
Okay.
get.
So do you like write your intention in your candle and dress your candle or
No, but
anything
you
when you,
can do that though.
yeah.
That's a cool thing to do. I can imagine that. I don't, like I say, I don't do a whole lot of that because I don't actually practice magic. All I do is try to unite with God. That's all I do.
What do you know about people that um my mind went blank, wait up. Not for the video, it really did. What is I'm trying to think of the name of it. I didn't
There you
touch
go.
it, I swear. Um
Yeah, that probably made me
man,
forget it even more.
it did.
Yeah, sorry.
What do you think about okay, you have to talk about something else. It
All
went
right,
over
well,
my
we'll
head.
continue with the colors though. Okay, so if I wanted to do a spell to
Oh, I know. I remember.
okay,
What
go
do
on.
you think about before I forget again? About people that actually, like, on their altar, sacrifice food to their ancestors and things of that nature. Are you familiar with any of that stuff?
Yes. I think
Because
that's
my
the thing.
question always was like, I don't mind sharing because that's what it's about. But what do you do with the food after? Like, do you actually eat it? Do you leave it there? Do you throw it away? Like, what do you do with it after?
It's funny. It makes me laugh that you mentioned that and you have a Christmas tree behind you. Do you know what a
Why?
Christmas tree is?
I don't know. It's pretty to me. Otherwise, it doesn't
But that's
matter.
what it used to be. It used to be that people would go and put sacrifices in the tree. They would go
Okay.
put food and fruits and
Well, I'm
stuff.
not putting no food in the tree and
But yes,
attracting
but here's
roaches
the
and
idea,
stuff.
and this is they understood the cycles of life and the cycles of the seasons. And so the reason they did this is because they were sacrificing some of last year's harvest
Hmm.
um, in order that next year's harvest would be better.
Okay. So, but what
And
after the food rots? What do you do with it? Like
you
when the
bury it.
mold starts growing, you burn it, burn the food.
Well, okay, that's because we live in modern houses. We didn't do that for thousands of years,
Uh-huh.
millions of years.
No, but
Sorry.
people still do that.
Yes, now you go bury it, you do whatever. I mean,
Oh,
obviously the
okay.
food's gonna get bad. Like or I mean, go do it in the woods. It's awesome to do it in the woods.
No, I've heard people say that they put food on their altars for
Yes.
their ancestors, and I didn't. I just never asked, what do you do with it after?
Well, and some of them, yeah, there'll be flies and there'll be whatever, but it's still what they do because it does release it does. You have to get rid of something in the material world
Hello,
to bring something into the
Penelope.
material world.
Welcome.
It's just, oh, hi, Penelope. God. I promise I'll never say your name again.
Wrong.
I'm sure I will. But yeah, no, you kind of have to make a like you need a sacrifice in order to bring something new. And it's the
Mhm.
same thing. Everybody talks about the law of attraction, and nobody mentions that. And you really have to learn to let go of the old before the new can come in.
Yeah,
And
agree.
everybody's focused on, I want this. And it's like, great. What are you willing to let go? Huh? What do you mean willing to let? Well, yeah, you have to let go
Mhm.
something. And even when you're trying to let go of bad habits, let's say, you have to acknowledge that they had a benefit. And so, there's a whole dance that goes on. It's not just about, oh, I wish to have this in my life, or I imagine myself already having it.
Mhm.
It works, but you have to let go of whatever you were imagining before, if you will. Right? Now
Okay.
it has to replace that reality. If both are present, forget it. Like the worst thing you can do if you wanna have money is to act out of lack.
To
If you're
act out of lack.
Yes, if most of your decisions are built around the fact that, oh, I don't know, I may not have money later,
Hmm.
you're sending yourself the message that you may not have money later, and yet
Right.
you're trying to become successful. Okay, so why would you not have money
So then
later?
you're not going to want to try to become successful, so you won't become successful, so you won't have money.
Well, you're sabotaging yourself a little bit because now you're kind of going like, oh, in case I don't have money. What do you mean in case you don't have money? Right? You've just put that doubt in your mind. You're not on that path now of, oh yeah, I have money. I'm successful. I'm, like everybody thinks there's, but they forget that there's that little part behind that's
Hmm.
happening too. Well, yes, that's it. You have to stay positive about it, but you also have to know what it is you need to let go. Like that's the key that is missing for most people, is to say, like, if I say I want to be, let's say I want to work out, or I want to become more active as a general rule. Right? Now, I have a gain in not being active. Right? When I'm sitting on my couch watching TV or whatever it is I'm doing usually, um I gain something out of that. I gain the entertainment. And it may be something very much deeper, right? Like I gain safety. I gain, I don't have to go deal with people, where at the gym I might have to deal with people. So, as much as I may want the gym, I now have to let go of my fear of people, right? Or I have to acknowledge it and not let it impact me. But I have to look at what needs to go. What do I need to let go of in order to get there? And
Right.
that's what people
And
are
so,
always
because
missing.
sometimes it's hard to let go of things, even though it's something that's not benefiting us or it's something negative, we still just the fear of change keeps us in that moment.
Hmm. Sometimes it's the fear of success too. That's a huge one. Like, people don't realize that, but they're often afraid of what happens if I succeed. Like, especially any of us that comes in that, comes from a place of low self-esteem or whatever, we immediately, like, we sabotage ourselves. Like, we don't, the minute we see success, we want to run away because we're not deserving. We're not, like, there's no way. No, it couldn't be. No, if I get success, I'm going to mess it up. If I get success, this is going to happen. That's going to happen.
Hmm.
Whatever. And so in that respect, we become terrified with success. And so we're trying to aim for it, and then we sabotage ourselves. Um, well, that there's the fear of failing.
Heather's gonna have to read the comments because my comments are blocked. I can't see
There's
them.
Oh, weird. Okay. Well, there's okay. So
I see
Hannah,
half of it. Like I see yes, that, or the you
yes, that's
have.
right.
Like
And
that's all
then
I see. I can't see
She
the whole
says
thing.
basically the fear of failing.
yes, there there's
People
also
are
the fear of
afraid of
failing.
the fear of failing.
Oh yeah,
It's
definitely.
it's because there's both. There's the fear of failing and the fear of success, right? And the fear of failing, that's the most important one, I think, to address at first, because the fear of failing is going to come back all the time, right? But the truth is, failure is a part of success. Like, there's nobody
Yeah.
that
We're
has
never
made
going
it.
to be successful if we don't fail. I mean, when you learn, you're doing good. And when you fail, you learn a lesson. So failing is not bad.
I like the example I used with you there the one time, the pottery teacher there. uh like, it expresses
Remind
that
us
a
for
little.
those that haven't heard it because I don't
Yeah, yeah.
remember either.
um there's a pottery teacher that, when the year starts, he splits the class in two halves. And he says to one half, he says, okay, so your goal for the year is going to be to make the most amazing, technically sound pottery that you can make. And he says to the other group, you're going to be evaluated on how many potteries you did. I don't care what they look like. I don't care whatever. Just, spit out as many as you can. That's what you're evaluated on, is the amount you'll be able to create. And
Okay.
by the end of the year, well, the people that had been tasked with making the most amount of potteries ended up having a way better pottery than the guys that only ever made one. Because even though they tried to design it to be perfect and they tried to think about it, they did not have the technique to actually render what they were thinking about. Where the other guys, because they practiced and failed and created crap and did all kinds of garbage and didn't matter, whatever, well, they eventually got really, really good at it. And so, that fear of failing is, I actually think it got put into us as a tool. I think it's, for some reason, we were thought at some point that if we go somewhere, if we try anything, like they needed us to be little factory workers at some point, and they taught us how to be factory workers. So we were not encouraged to have ideas and run with them. But really, the fear of failing is important to have, and it's important to get through and to say, okay, I fear failing, but I'm going to go through, and I may fail, and that'll be okay.
Mm-hmm. Right? Okay.
It's how quickly you can get through failure. Really, it's how quickly you can get back up. That's what it is, right? Look at a skateboarder or any other sport. I don't know why I use skateboarder, but they'll wipe out, break an arm, like do all kinds of stuff, but eventually they're doing all these crazy weird tricks that you wouldn't even think the human body could do with a little board.
And sometimes we fail because it's not what we were meant to do, and where we end up is better than where we fail.
Well, it's important to, to be honest, there's also let's say somebody came to me for coaching and said, okay, here's what I want to do. I want to be president of the United States of America. I was born in China and I don't have a high school.
And Frank would be like, that shouldn't be a problem, because
no, that should be a problem, because you can't be president of the United States if you're not from the United States. And
but you can now, though, can't you?
No, you can't. Well, Obama got away with it, but let's not go there.
Well, I mean, they said Obama was the first black president, and that's not true.
So let's not have a conversation about Obama, because that'll never end.
We'll get kicked off of YouTube.
Something. But the point is, you have to make sure that the game can be won, right? You have to make sure that whatever it is you're going for, it's actually possible. But if it is, then fail miserably and whatever. I mean, I've had a lot of failures in any endeavors I've taken. We have a missing episode, in case anybody's interested, because we argued so badly that we decided to remove the episode.
Yeah.
Guess what? That was one of our failures.
Guess what? We got us a little volunteer in the background.
So I mean, fail hard, fail a lot, for sure, absolutely.
Hey, I wonder if we have that recorded somewhere. Maybe like our 100th edition, we can do like a little skit or like laugh about it or something.
I think we erased any
evidence
from existence within seconds.
Was anybody screenshotting during this argument?
It was, that was funny. It probably wasn't even nearly as bad as we thought it was. I mean, we argued last week and it wasn't that bad. Go watch it, people. You'll see. It's fun. We argue sometimes. I don't know. I'm just trying to get you to watch something. One of our videos. All right. That was my my attempt at a plug.
So for those of you who are just joining us, please like and share the live. Interact with us in the comments. If you have questions, let us know. If there's topics you want to discuss, let us know. Because we've just been like every week at the last minute, we'll be like, well, what are we going to talk about today? Because before we were getting off topic anyway, and we like the switching a little bit. So I mean, if there's something that someone wants to discuss, just let us know.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to discuss anything you guys are into. So let's discuss. I don't know.
I know what I want to discuss real quick, and I don't know a whole lot about it, so don't put me on the spot. But tomorrow night Everyone needs to get outside and ground themselves and look at the moon. I can't see.
Penelope, she says, I believe that, sorry. I believe that you can do anything if you set your mind to do and accomplish what you want, but you have to apply yourself to the best of your ability. I agree, but I would add to that you also have to control your environment.
Hmm.
Because
Because
if you
that
don't,
affects your
it can
ability.
kill you. Like example, you wanna start a new company, your husband beats you every night. Odds are you're not gonna get there.
Right.
Because you can't, you know what I mean? Make sure
Because
the
you have
people
too
in your
much
life,
going on. Yeah. You have to
yeah,
be around positivity. And you have to be like, so if, let's say you have a husband who beats you, and
why did I use that example?
I don't know, but we're going with
Extreme.
it now. Um, and you have issues with smiling or being happy, and yet you want to start a business and you have to interact with people in that mind, that, let's put it this way, your environment puts your mind in a different mindset that may not be attractive to clients or customers or whatever your business is. So you want to
Well,
be
I
in a
don't
positive, a more positive environment, happier environment, because that energy is getting on you.
I don't care
Make
how
sense?
incredible of a person you were when you went in. If you've been 10 years with somebody that tells you every day that you're worth nothing, guess what? You're worth nothing. At
Hmm.
that point, you're pretty much in your head, you're worth nothing.
Hmm.
And it doesn't matter how strong you were when you came in. If you accepted that behavior in your life, like if that's something that happened, yes, it's going to have an impact. But not only that, like if you live in I don't know, like a beat up building, you hate everything about it, your walls, like the paint, whatever, the paint is stripping off your walls, like whatever, fix it, like make your environment good. Like even if you have to make a tiny little room in your house that's nothing, be a
Oh,
comfortable place, then make it. Like, is that
What's
Heather?
going on? What is she doing?
Where's she
sorry, I
going, Heather?
accidentally hit my phone. Sorry.
I thought she was coming on with us.
Yeah, I was like, wow, Heather's
What you gotta say? We
Yeah, I
gotta
was
get you
having
to
some
get your
controls.
mic on off of mute, and now you're turning on your camera.
Yeah,
she's
I
like,
was I
I'm
was
coming
ready. I
in.
was gonna get active.
She's like, I'm coming in. That's it.
What you gotta
Like
say?
let
What you
me.
gotta say about the situation?
Yeah, I was ready.
Yeah. Well, that's all right.
Okay,
I like
we
that
are
new music.
agreed. Yeah, we have that new this week. The music situation. That's a new thing. So with the holidays approaching very, very fast, there's only a few days left to Christmas. Um,
Whoa.
what? I said the
Well,
word.
there's quite a few days. I haven't done
Not that
shopping.
many.
Come on now.
Like
Two and
maybe
a
a
half
week and a
weeks.
half, two.
2.5 weeks.
All right. Okay, before I forget, tomorrow night we're having a special moon. We're having a full moon, and it is going to be a Martian moon. Y'all have to go see it. So what's going to happen is Mars is very close to the Earth right now, and Mars is going to pass, and the moon's going to block Mars, but you're supposed to be able to see the red Mars. Because, by the way, did y'all know that Mars is made of rust? Like that's what the planet's made of. It's some kind of dioxide, whatever they call it. I don't know that word.
Hmm.
I remember the rust word. So Mars is made of rust. So it's actually red. So you're gonna see Mars in the sky with the moon, and they're gonna pass. It's gonna be awesome.
Well, the moon is gonna hide Mars for a while, and then Mars
Yeah,
is gonna come back out on the other side
yeah,
because it's gonna be way smaller than the moon. But it's
yeah.
probably when it reaches the moon, when it crosses it, like when it enters the being covered by the moon. That's probably when it does something pretty cool.
Do
Which
we
I don't
know
know what
what
time
you
that
gotta
will
look
be.
up to get it to be watched on our? Let me.
Like Penelope's asking at what time, but I have no
That's what I'm
idea.
trying to find out the time, because I can't play a video, right? Give me a second. I'm gonna find the time.
Excuse me.
I'm just looking for the time, guys, because I know.
It probably depends where you are too. Let's say Los Angeles. It would disappear at 6:30 p.m. and reappear at 7:30 p.m. Uh, now I don't know
Dallas.
why.
They
What
got a
they gave
Dallas
me.
time on there.
Why did they give me LA? Really? I'm not even anywhere near LA.
Oh, wrong one.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Where do you want to know?
She's in. Well, I don't know. She's not in Louisiana. I think maybe she's in Arizona or something. Ask her where she's at.
Working in Kansas City. Kansas City.
Promo. No, it was a TikTok,
Kansas City.
right?
Kansas City.
Yeah,
Kansas.
here it is.
Kansas City from 8:56 p.m. to 9:52 p.m.
The moon is going to kiss and kill Mars.
Kiss and kill Mars. Well, that should be fun. And that's when the aliens show up. Wouldn't that be something? You never know these days. I mean, the military has come out and like it's becoming a very very real thing.
It's called the Martian eclipse. Okay, so to find your time, you Google your city.
I've already given her time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So for anybody else that wants to know, if you Google your city, the word sunset, and the date, it will give you the time.
Well, that'll give you the time of sunset, not the time of
That'll-
the eclipse.
That's what she says. She's a meteorologist. I'm just gonna believe her.
Well, yeah, but if you can look at, there's a chart. I'm looking.
Oh,
at,
there's a chart. Okay.
On space.com, there's a chart. It says
Okay.
like all the main cities.
So what time is gonna be here?
You would be near New Orleans. Okay, New Orleans. Why the? Oh, New Orleans. 9:11 p.m.
All right.
What the heck does 3 arc minute? What?
What?
Oh, wait a minute. Local viewing circumstances for the pulse of the moon and Mars.
Can you give them the
Oh, it may not be. Is it
The
because it's not
website?
viewable? The website is space.com.
space.com if y'all want to look up the time for the Martian eclipse tomorrow night in your area?
It's somewhere in there. Like because space.com is a huge site, but I mean it's space.com Mars opposition lunar occultation December 2020. You know what I mean? Like I can't
Right.
go on and go on. Well, here actually, I know what I can do. That's where. Right here. I always forget that I can write in the chat. So the chart is there. But I don't, it says something different though for different places. It says.
Yeah, because the world's turning.
No, but because I don't think it's going to be visible fully from everywhere. Because here it says local viewing circumstances for the occultation of Mars, December 7th, December 8th, 2022. And then it lists a bunch of cities, whatever. And it says time.
Is it available for you?
It says Mars disappears and Mars reappears. Then it says local viewing circumstances for the pulse of the moon and Mars, December 7th, December 8th. And there it says New Orleans and a time. But the time is closest approach, 9:11, and separation, 3 arc minute. whatever that is.
3 minutes after 9/11, right?
No, it's a separation. It's arc minute is a measure.
Why the hell are they telling us that? We don't understand that. We got to get
Well,
a
yeah, but
meteorologist to adjust the time.
well, it's space.com though, so it's like probably aimed at. Can I see it from here? Montreal, Toronto. I'm between them. Seriously? How can there be a 10-minute difference between the two? That's insane.
Okay.
What?
So,
Wow.
what did I say to research again?
For what?
The other way to find it.
Why? Yeah, but it wouldn't make sense if you're just looking up the sunset.
Oh, sunset. Tomorrow's the 7th.
Yeah, but that's just gonna give you the sunset. Anyways, we've answered Penelope, and we gave people the site, so we should probably go on with the show.
Okay. Well, we're about. Are we going to discuss more things tonight? You think? Are we going to
I don't know. Well, if somebody gives us a topic, then we will, and if not, then we'll call it a night. How's that?
Topic.
So it's
We're
on
gonna
you
play-
people.
We're going to play you a little video while you decide if you want to give us a topic. Just
You want to talk about your very own topic, Penelope? You can let us know. Here we are. Gotcha.
You know I
All
had
right.
to play it.
All right. I don't see a topic. We've been going for an hour 22 minutes. I think we're doing not too bad. So, well, I guess that'll be it for today's episode. Besides, I lost one of my lights. Oh,
Your
no.
lights.
Yeah, look, my blue light. It's gone. I forgot.
Well,
to plug
next
it.
week, guys, we are going to be on live on Thursday. Heather, you got the date on Thursday? The 15th, right? Is that right?
I think so.
Thursday the
Sounds about
15th,
right. Yeah, Thursday the
7
15th.
o'clock Central Standard Time, 8 o'clock Eastern Is it Eastern Standard or just Eastern Time?
Eastern time, whatever.
Eastern time.
Yeah.
And we will be coming to you with more topics, maybe arguments. We don't know. We'll wait and see.
Hopefully not.
The discussion shall be a surprise. Okay, the 20th. I'm looking to see what days we on. Okay. So
15th,
the
29th.
15th and then the 20th.
Yeah,
no.
15th, 20th, 29th,
Okay.
3rd.
All right. Because if there's something that y'all want to discuss that has to do with the season of the holidays, something maybe you're having grief, maybe you need proof from your loved one or whatever that might be, let us know. Because I know that this is a hard time for a lot of people. All right. Frank, you got anything else to say?
No, that's about it. I'm quite good with
Okay, I'm gonna hit the
Saying
ending
goodbye.
tonight so you don't turn it off before we hit
mess
it
it
like
up.
last
Oh.
week. No, last week you remember you turned off the live before the video.
Yeah, sorry guys. All right then. Well, on that, we will wish you guys a very amazing evening and lots of
Yes. Have a great week. See you on next Thursday, not this Thursday, next on the 15th. Good night.
Take care.